You're listening to Beaufort County's House of Cards on the Big Patriot Radio Network.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is Beaufort County's House of Cards. I'm Mike Covert again here with you on a Thursday night. What a show we've got for you tonight. This is jam-packed, and compared to last week, I am Rona-free. And compared to last week, I feel like $1 million. Last week was tough. That was a tough show there at the very end. I was out. I was bad out. So, but it was really, it was like a bad cold. As it turned out, it was kind of a man cold, and I'm not too proud to say that, but it put me. It was tough. I'm still not 100%. I feel like $1 million, but at nighttime, I still get a little. Like a bad cold. But hey, what isn't Rona these days, right? Don't forget, folks, we want to hear from you. Leave comments in whatever chat room, whatever social media forum you're on, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. If you have something to say, you want to pass along, have a comment for one of our guests, feel free to put it in there, and we'll get it on the screen if I see it in time and if it's appropriate and so forth. Hey, don't forget, consider a Patreon membership. $5, $10 a month, whatever, anything you can do. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's what helps keep independent news and journalism alive you see the patreon.com/ Beaufort's House of Cards scrolling along your screen right now. Don't forget our other podcasts we have on Big Patriot Radio. That's right. That's bigpatriotradio.com. If you haven't been listening to Big Patriot Radio, shame on you. Thousands of folks. It's getting bigger and bigger all across this country. We've got folks even overseas that are tuning in to the radio station. Anyway, podcasts in the evenings, Monday nights, New America Movement. That is the Jordan and David Cox from Easley. As a matter of fact, David Cox is running for mayor up in Easley, South Carolina. They have their podcast on Mondays at 7 o'clock, and we do an encore because so many people want to listen at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays and sometimes Wednesday. We have the Overton Report with Corey Allen. That is at 7 o'clock, and then again an encore at 8 p.m. So much demand for those shows. Sundays, Culture Crossroads with Andrew Southwick. Fantastic show. He's even got a TV show now. That is at 7 o'clock, bigpatriotradio.com. And at 8 o'clock, we end the week with our buddy Frank Friedenauer with his Freedom Hour at 8 o'clock. Last week on Big Patriot Radio, the number one most requested song was Thomas Rhett and Where We Grew Up. And once again, a dead tie between the number one most listening city during the week on Big Patriot Radio. That is right here in Bluffton, South Carolina, and Summerville, South Carolina. A lot of folks in Charleston area starting to tune in what we've got going on here. Lots of stuff going on in the news this week. A lot of stuff happening in the last 24 hours, as you know. We're going to take a quick time out. And let's just take a listen to your 5-minute news.
This is VOA News. I'm Scott Walterman. Additional U.S. troops are heading to the Middle East or have newly arrived there to bolster air defenses to protect U.S. personnel amid a surge in attacks in the region by Iran-affiliated groups, according to the Pentagon on Thursday.
As part of our efforts to deter a broader conflict and further bolster U.S. force protection capabilities, I can confirm that since our initial force posture announcement, approximately 900 troops have subsequently deployed or are in the process of deploying to the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility.
That's Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, who says as tensions soar over the Israel-Hamas war, U.S. troops have been attacked at least 12 times in Iraq, 4 times in Syria in the past week. EU leaders have agreed at a summit on Thursday to call for the establishment of humanitarian corridors and pauses to get urgently needed aid into Gaza. The United States says Russia has been executing its own soldiers. U.S. National Security spokesperson John Kirby says the U.S. believes that the Russian military has been actually executing soldiers who refuse to follow orders, and that Russian commanders are threatening to execute entire units if they seek to retreat from Ukrainian artillery fire.
It's reprehensible to think about that you would execute your own soldiers because they didn't want to follow orders, and now threatening to execute entire units. I mean, it's barbaric. But I think it's a symptom of how poorly Russia's military leaders know they're doing, and how bad they have handled this from a military perspective.
This is VOA News. Nigeria's Supreme Court on Thursday upheld President Bola Tinubu's win, bringing an end to the legal challenge brought by his 2 main rivals, who argued that his victory was marred by election irregularities.
Affirming the election of the second respondent as the duly elected President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is hereby affirmed.
That is Supreme Court Judge John Okoro announcing the judgment in court. Tinubu said it was a moment for all of the parties to come together. 2 people died, 9 others injured in an explosion at a commercial center in the Afghan capital on Thursday. Kabul police spokesman Khalid Zandran said in a message to reporters the explosion occurred in the Dashit Barche neighborhood of Kabul, which is an enclave of the historically oppressed Shiite Hazara community. The U.S. Senate on Thursday overwhelmingly rejected legislation that would have forced President Joe Biden to withdraw U.S. troops from Niger, since the military officers seized power in that country in July. Hurricane Otis ripped through Mexico's southern Pacific coast as a Category 5 hurricane, unleashing massive flooding in the resort city of Acapulco, ravaging roads and leaving large swaths of the state without power or cell phone service. So far, there have been 27 confirmed deaths, and a number of people are still missing, and they estimate billions of dollars in damage. Otis was the strongest storm in history to make landfall along the Mexican Pacific coast. Scientists in Brazil have announced that they've developed an innovative new treatment to treat cocaine addiction. VOA's Jeff Custer says it's a vaccine.
Dubbed Calix Coca, the test vaccine triggers an immune response that blocks cocaine and its potent derivative, crack, from reaching the brain's pleasure center, effectively stopping addicts from getting high from the drug. Developed by researchers at Brazil's Federal University of Minas Gerais, the treatment has shown promising results in trials, and if it receives final regulatory approval, the researchers say it'll be the first time cocaine addiction will be treated using a vaccine. They hope it will help users break the cycle of addiction in Brazil, the world's second biggest consumer of cocaine. Jeff Custer, VOA News.
The U.S. International Trade Commission on Thursday issued an order that could bar Apple from importing its Apple Watches after finding the devices violate medical technology company Masimo's patent rights. I'm Scott Walterman, VOA News.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
All right. Our first guest is in the green room. We're going to get to him here right quick. But first off, and this is an important message, I was told about this today, and I want to get it out there before I forget about it. We've been alerted from some folks who have gone out and gotten into the early voting. They're here in Beaufort County at the Ulmer Road facility, but this goes for wherever you are and however your state does its voting, since all states, make up their own deal. If you have machines, you need to pay attention to this. These four people that we have contact with, we were told that their votes were either recorded wrong when they touched the screen, or they were changed after the screen showed their vote, and then they had to manually move it again. So point of all this is just please pay attention. When you cast your vote, make sure it's cast for whatever and whomever you want. In other words, and these happen to be bond referendum questions, all four of them. And I don't know if they pushed yes and they wanted no, or they pushed no and they wanted yes. I don't know, and it doesn't matter. But whatever they pushed, the other lit up. So just pay attention to what's going on with that, and make sure your vote counts. Yes, we have sent this out, and I've had conversations with 3 of our county legislators on the legislative delegation, spoke with them today about it. They've already been in contact with the Board of Elections. Excuse me. So that's just a PSA, public service announcement. Anyway, our first guest is already in the green room. We're going to be bringing him out here. He's currently a councilman for the residents of the town of Bluffton, and has served on town council since 2015, I believe it is, since 2015. Let's go ahead and bring on to the stage. Please help me welcome Dan Wood, ladies and gentlemen. Dan,
hey, Mike,
welcome.
how you doing?
Okay. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Good seeing you.
And you, good seeing you, my friend. Good seeing you. I know you're busy, and we first and foremost greatly appreciate you coming on here, taking your time from your family and the campaign trail. I know every night you got something going on, and only a couple more weeks, and then every night stuff can take a break for a while.
Yes.
Let's jump right into this big election coming up. if somebody doesn't know you, or just a refresher, please tell us about who Dan Wood is, a little bit about your personal life and your business life. Take it away.
Thank you, Mike. I moved to Hilton Head February '79. I was in the electric utility business when Sun City was starting. Palmetto Electric, who I worked for 30 years, moved me off the island to begin Sun City, the development out there. And then I became the operations manager for Palmetto Electric. And so I ended up with both Hilton Head and New River District. I'm married to Debbie Wood. This is our 18th year of marriage. We have 12 grandchildren. I have 3 great grandchildren. I'm a native of Florida. And like I said, I've been in the area a long time. I moved into Greater Bluffton about 93, 4, somewhere in there. I'm not sure. And then eventually moved into the city limits of Bluffton, 2005, I think it was. And that was a busy year for me. That year I got married to Debbie and started the Arts and Seafood Festival and was on Planning Commission. And so that was a very busy year, but a good year. So I'm just, you and I have known each other a long time. I believe in public service long before running for office. I was a JC on Hilton Head when I was there years ago, and that really kind of dipped my toe into it. And I've been in Rotary 27 years. And remember when you were there, we both were club presidents, past Rotarian of the Year. Right now, I am the Bluffton Jasper Volunteers in Medicine chairman, which I'm proud of. And early this year, I received from Greater Bluffton Chamber the 2023 Lifetime Achievement Award. And as you know, before I keep going, I'm going to stop there. Those are all community related services. You know from experience, when you serve in an elected position, you're on various committees and organizations. So I won't even go into those.
And it's extensive. You have an extensive community service background, and we appreciate that. And that's not said enough. And it is 8 years. Is that correct? You've been on town council?
Yes, 8 years.
Yes, 8 years. Okay. All right. So you've served the citizens of Bluffton. Anybody that serves, I appreciate, and I have a special feeling because I've been there. So, but we should appreciate everybody that serves. It's not for everybody. So the question, why do you want to continue? You've had 2 terms. You've done a lot. You're successful in business, successful in personal life. After 2 terms, why do you want to continue to represent the people of Bluffton in a relatively tough job?
I just love it. I'm when I managed people, Mike, I was a servant leader. I always believed that if I took care of my people first, my people would take care of me, and then they would do a better job. And so you know me. A lot of people don't. You do. And that's just who I am. And I just believe in service. And so when I look at elected office at the local level, I see it nothing more than community service. And I love it.
Outstanding. When you look back on the 2 terms, and this maybe isn't a fair question, I'm going to ask, what is one significant thing? There may be pages worth. But what is one significant thing you've either gotten changed, maybe you've gotten deleted, or maybe you've gotten added while on town council that has increased either the lifestyle or the well-being of Bluftonians?
Well, there's a lot of things that you do when you sit at the table over a period of time. The 5 of us we've had 3 tax reductions in the last 6 or 7 years. But I also believe that if you're going to need taxes from your citizens, you have to show them how you're utilizing the money. And I think when you explain to people very clearly what they're getting in return, for example, parks, I'm a big proponent of parks. That's one of my pet projects. I just push that we helped complete the Rotary Field of Dreams that you're familiar with. So, that's a return on investment, and citizens see that and they can touch it and they feel good about it. I remember when we were looking at the tag tax, it wasn't much money. I think it was going to be $10, but I opposed it because the people who could least afford to pay it were going to have to pay it. So, I didn't like that. It was only $10 or $15, whatever it was. But again, it was the principle for me. But I think we built a good town. Again, you can see it with the streetscape projects. Another one that I haven't seen bear fruit yet is the Boundary Street project. Everybody knew that Calhoun Street would be upgraded eventually, but it's going to be very complicated. That's where the majority of businesses reside. But at the same time, I wanted to see something I pushed for was Boundary Street will get a total revitalization. And I can't wait for that to happen, probably within the next 2 years. So lots of projects like that. I'm still working on, and I know maybe one of your questions later down is still working on affordable housing, and I can touch on that shortly here.
When you say the Boundary Street revitalization, is that sidewalks, curb, gutter? Aren't power lines overhead down Boundary Street? I would
They
assume
are, Mike. They are. It's funny. There was a misstep between Dominion, which was SC&G, and the town years ago over some franchise fee money. And so this is back probably before I was elected. And there was an agreement drawn that they would, eat the cost of us burying the power lines. Now, I did that on Hilton Head. I had a $34 million project. I spent 20 years. I think I did $22 million in 20 years, and I finished on time and on budget. And then they finished it up after I left. But anyway, so I'm familiar with that. And frankly, staff prior to our new regime being our town manager did not want to touch the burial of the overhead power lines. So I took this Dominion maps, went into the field on my golf cart, went to every location, went back to town hall, got the staff together and said, you can do this. Don't be afraid of it. You can do it. It's going to be tough, but we can do it. So yeah, that's going to be inclusive as part of the overall streetscape. I look forward to it because again, when you look at Bluffton and you look at Dubose Park, you look at Martin Family Park, and then you look at the Hayward House, and we provided the pavilion basically. And then when you go down and you look at the Wright Family Park and you parallel both these roads, not just Calhoun Street, but you parallel them with Boundary and Calhoun, we're really going to have a really fine jewel in the historic district there.
Yeah, I agree. When you look at Bluffton, what is right about Bluffton?
I think there's a lot right. Obviously, the numbers of the people moving here speak about that. They're still coming, and frankly, when COVID kicked in, we cut the town budget 8%, thinking we were looking at 2007-8. We told staff they couldn't take any trips anywhere. We were looking for the worst. Well, Mike, people moved here in droves. I mean, they were leaving the cities. They were coming here. They see our lifestyle. They see the quality of life on the river. They see that we're restoring our historic buildings, which speaks to our history. They see the projects that I just talked about with all the various parks throughout the town. It's a big magnet for lots of young families. So, I mean, we've drawn a lot of people here. So there's obviously the lifestyle that we have. We just did fireworks again last weekend for the Arts and Seafood Festival, and the town does it in July now. We have movies in the parks. All the parks, we go around town, we spread it around. We're building that 37-acre park out at New Riverside as we speak. We upgrade parks. So, we're reaching out, we're touching, we're moving around town. And one other thing very quickly, Mike, is the town started reaching out to the people in the areas that they live. We actually set up mobile town halls, and we go into different developments when we're invited in, and we actually bring the police chief, maybe the town manager, the upper management, all the different departments are there, and you can reach out and touch them and ask questions and say what you like, what you don't like. We get to get the feedback, but they get to know who we are. And we've grown so much that we don't know any other way to do it except go to them, take the message to them.
Sure. in the same breath, that's what's right about Bluffton. What is wrong about Bluffton?
I think what is wrong about Bluffton is we created a town so well that everybody wants to live here. And that's a real problem.
That's a fair point.
That's a real problem. But anyway, when I look back on, and the challenges of government, one of the first things I wanted to be was on the Affordable Workforce Housing Committee. And I've been sitting there 8 years, and it's been tough. It's been tough to make the needle get moved. Fred Hamilton has been beating that drum for 20 years. Yep. Now, as you probably are well aware, where places in the county didn't want it, everybody's jumping on board. And so Loco, and you know what that is, because you were one of the, you and Fred actually helped put it back on the table. Started again. You brought it back to life. Yep. That's one of the most successful things. One of the most successful things happening in Beaufort County today.
Thinking about affordable housing, growth, and that's really not a fair term. It's more of what some folks in the county, because they're not all in the town, but some in Beaufort County, some in Bluffton proper, and some, in the Bluffton zip code. They have a perception, it's fair to say, that some believe the growth is out of control. As a current town councilman and candidate for another term, what can you say or give an example of to ease the minds of residents about this growth, and what are you all doing about it? That in some
I'm going to give you
never seems
I
to
stop.
Sure.
I'm going to give myself a note here real quick because I want to stay on point. Let's see. All right, so a few things. First of all, Hardyville at build out is going to be 40,000 houses, roughly, almost double the size of Bluffton. Mm-hmm. Greater Bluffton, Beaufort County, has 20,000 at build out, just over 20,000. Bluffton will have 20,700. Hilton Head has 37,000 houses right now, and Sun City has 10,500. Hilton Head will probably peak out at 40. Sun City, they're still trying to add. So when you add all these numbers up, and Mike, this is a message I started pushing at the first of the year when I heard discussion coming up about a potential transportation penny sales tax.
Right.
And so I'm like, I don't want to hear about Bluffton. There's roughly 130,000 houses projected in the areas that I just mentioned to you in our region. Okay. Bluffton makes up 15% of that. So here's what people are seeing. Okay. The growth that they're seeing is our roads, because you only have 278, you have 170, you have the Parkway, and you have 46. And everyone is on those roads. If you look at the traffic coming from Savannah every morning, coming through Bluffton, it's insane. A lot of it goes to Hilton Head. Half the jobs in Bluffton are on the move. People coming into the town as well as some people going out of town, but half of them come from other locations. So it's people on the roads going through everywhere. And here's another fact for you. Highway 278 does 60,000 road trips a day. Would you like to guess what I-95 does, Mike?
I'm dating myself, but the last I was involved, it was less.
All right, it's 60,000 road trips a day. So Highway 278 is now equal to I-95. Unbelievable. So that's what people really have to focus on. I've been hammering this message repeatedly everywhere I go to make people understand the larger picture. Yes, I wish Bluffton did not have as many RDUs or residential rooftops as we have, but there's nothing, the story to that. It's the development agreements for 20 something years ago.
And that's a hard, I think, I want to say we, because I guess I could throw myself in there from prior. I think we as elected officials maybe haven't explained that well enough, because it's Joe and Jane America, and this is my guess, don't understand what a development agreement is and the legal implications that we know from 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We can talk that language and we get it. But I think Joe and Jane America may not totally grasp what that means. That's just an outsider looking in. Maybe why this question, and you make a good point, Dan, that maybe it's traffic that we are seeing, and it's not so much concentrated growth, it's all this traffic because everybody's coming through here. So I get you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and let me touch one other piece of that is so, commercial is slow to follow rooftops. So right now, Bluffton is essentially about 75% build out on rooftops, residential. Only 30-something percent, 30 to 35% on commercial. Part of the problem also resides in the fact that most of the services that are offered, whether it's doctors, dentists, pharmacies, these reside to the east side of the parkway, which is the Buckwalter Parkway. So people are driving all across town to get services, okay? But not only them, people from Hardyville, people from Sun City are coming to use the services. Out at New Riverside, they finally just got a Publix out there. Think about that. So all the people out in that area, Pamela Bluff and New Riverside, they were having to drive across town to get their groceries, right? So this is a thing that the town just passed a month ago. We came up with an economic development ordinance, and I gave it to some developers and got some responses back, that people that in the business that know what they're talking about, big developers, and they said it's a good first start. It's a good way to start. We're going to incentivize some of the businesses that the town has identified that I just touched on that we need to put it in the area west of Buckwalter Parkway to keep people from driving all over the town to go from point A to Z when they maybe can just go from A to B. Does that make sense? So it's a form of traffic control in a way.
Right.
But I also want to say too, for example, Debbie and I go to the Church of the Cross. Well, half the people there are from Sun City. So that just illustrates again, and I love seeing everybody there. It illustrates people are utilizing the roads. So that's what they're thinking of when they're thinking of overdevelopment. And to your point, Mike, about the development agreements, we can talk about that till the sun goes down. But the average person, John Q. Public, all they're going to do is look at you and say, I don't care, just fix it.
Right.
But you can't undo them. They're legal documents. They're binding. The state won't allow you to do it. And I've even heard about the moratorium. You can't put a moratorium on a development agreement.
I think, well, it's not about what I think. That's excellent, excellent comments that you're making. And I know you all are on that, but let me, I'm getting hit here. One of our viewers, can you see what I just put on the screen? One of our viewers, Janet, commenting, this information is fascinating. Why can't all town council meetings be made public via the county page or live streamed on Facebook? People want to hear and know more of what is happening. Thank you, Janet, for that. Dan, is there any comment you'd like to make from the town?
Well, yeah, Mike, the council meetings are put on the Beaufort channel station. I don't know, actually, I frankly, I couldn't tell you whether it's being live cast at the time. I know they're recorded and put there, part there, that we do. I do know that we tried Facebook Live at one time back during the COVID period, and it became Wild West. I mean, we were watching the comments fly across the screen and everything. And so it was just, it was insane. We just said, whoa, our phones were ringing while we were trying to conduct meetings. We had to turn our phones off. And So that one didn't work out so well. I'm not saying it can't be revisited. It may be improved upon, but that was the reason that we don't do that.
Gotcha. Let's move on to something else, Dan. You hear the phrase fair and equitable. You hear that a lot in a lot of circles. A lot of people like to use that for their personal agenda, whatever that agenda may be. But I want to use that phrase in looking at representation. What is fair and equitable for the citizens of the town of Bluffton? In your opinion, why has the town not moved towards either wards or districts like the county has, wards like Town of Hilton Head has, because of what we hear in this day and age of fair and equitable representation? So what do you mean about that? What do you mean by that, Mike? Let me say that. Let's just say, for example, no matter how you look at this pie, okay, the town of Bluffton has, and this is a good thing, the town of Bluffton is created with completely different, diametrically different types of socioeconomic paths. You have Old Town, along with several socioeconomic paths that are in and around Old Town. You have the Buckwalter area, and you've got a couple here or there, 2 or 3, whatever it is, subdivisions, working class, and then you have 2 rather higher end second home or white collar jobs, things of that nature. And then the third piece is the new Riverside and Pritchardville part of the town. A lot of working class. Yes, Palmetto Bluff, the world's #1 resort is part of that. But you see where I'm going. If all of town council, if this were to happen, were all either one of those 3 pieces of pie, the other 2/3 could have a legitimate argument, if you will, that they're not getting fair and equitable representation. What is your opinion? I hope I have explained that to what people are.
I think so.
Me. What is your opinion of that? As we're growing, this is not, years ago when you and I moved here, Bluffton pretty much carried the water of Hilton Head. And that's one way to say it. It ain't that way anymore. It ain't that way at all.
Right.
This is a completely different place. So let you answer that.
Well, when I was running the first time, and this, think about when you ran for office the first time. You've heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know, right? Yep. You think you have answers, but you don't know anything. And it's a good year, maybe 2 years before you really learn the ropes and the system and even the language. I was pushing for extending the size of council then, and it didn't fly. Later, I had even talked about wards. And then I have to be honest, I got ahead of myself on that discussion. When I ran the last time and I did the math, and I would encourage you, Mike, when you get off this cast, when you have time, look at the math. I don't think the numbers are there of the voters that vote to justify wards at this point. So the last time I ran for office, I got 2,300 votes. So if you split that up to 4 wards, because you want your mayor to be at large always, which we're all at large, the numbers are very, very small. So I can see that you might want to have another set of council members potentially, but I want to say also, one of the things I pushed for, it took a while for me to get it, is 2 years ago, the town did a survey. We're going to do another survey. And the reason I wanted a town survey, Mike, when I was working with Palmetto Electric, they do what's a national survey every single year. And there's ratings on that survey and how do they stack up to all of the other 1,000 electric cooperatives in the country, 900-something electric cooperatives, to tell you whether you're doing a good job with your service to your customers. So I wanted the same thing for the town of Bluffton. So we did a survey, and the survey indicated 40% of the people thought it might be a good idea to increase council. The other 60 didn't feel that way. I think, sometimes I feel that life provides the answers when it's appropriate. So what I'm saying is, right now, this council is going to get a new mayor. We're going to have a special election. I have no idea who will run, who will win, from where. Fred Hamilton lives in Lawton Station, has been there for years now.
Yep.
Bridget Frazier lives on Simmonsville Road. They're finally getting their sidewalks and sewer. And one thing that, going back to the representation, is that a lot of people don't understand. Only 8% of the town lies outside of a PUD. Okay, only 8%. So if you're in Hampton Hall or Palmetto Bluff or New Riverside, I like to say to people, so you've got roads, you've got sidewalks, you've got everything that you got when the development was built, unlike the remaining 8% where we're trying to put all the sewer in, which we're very close, getting close on that now. Sidewalks they didn't have. So what I find, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but this is just through my lens, when somebody's in a development and they have their family or friends come visit, Mike, and you say, and even though they're in Bluffton, they're in the 54 square miles of Bluffton. When they say, hey, you want to go to Bluffton, where do they take them? They bring them to the historic district.
Downtown. Old Town.
They bring them to the historic district. So my point is, the unifying force for all of the 54 square miles in the persona of the people is the Old Town area with the historic buildings and the Wright Family Park, and et cetera, et cetera. And then they go back. And, I told you, I've been out almost every night for the last few weeks. And I got asked a very interesting question at Palmetto Bluff recently, and I really didn't even know how to respond to it. So the first question I got was, what do people think of Palmetto Bluff? So I tried to answer that. The second question I got was, so I live in Palmetto Bluff and people can come in here. How come I can't go to Hampton Hall? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
I never been asked that question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So
that's a good one.
Every development looks at themselves in their own unique way.
Absolutely. Two quick questions, and I don't want to keep you. Have you ever, Dan, applied for or received public tax dollars for either personal use or for personal business ventures while serving on any commissions of the town or on town council?
No, I starting the Historic Arts and Seafood Festival, I would imagine, I'm trying to think, I honestly can't recall. It's been 19 years, and we were creating things as we went. There wasn't even we had the first form that you had to fill out for town hall created to put on this event. First time fireworks had ever been shot off. So I don't remember whether we got ATAX dollars in the beginning. If it was there, I'm sure we took it. And Mary O'Neill was with me the whole time. She gets
but that wasn't a personal. That's a
no.
nonprofit.
And I know where you're going with that. And so I think the question is regarding a sitting council person. What I do know is the tax dollars that have been asked for were approved by the ATAX committee unanimously twice. The other thing was, and you asked the question of another candidate one night. Mm-hmm. The only difference in the answer was another candidate applied for ATAX dollars but did not receive them. But the ATAX dollars are there, Mike. They're there, and if people qualify for them, they should get them.
How can people reach out to you, Dan, or your campaign if they want to donate, volunteer, have you over for a get-together? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, let me say I have 2 more meets and greets lined up next week. I could use 1 or 2 more if I could squeeze it in if somebody's willing. Can you see this?
Go to your probably your left a little bit.
This way?
Yep, and a little bit more. And you're golden right there. There you go, folks. 21st century technology. Dan Wood is the man. How about that? It works, and it's quicker than me typing it in.
It's
So,
D.
that'll be
Oliver
here.
Wood. D. Oliver Wood at iCloud.com. And my number is the same number that I have at Town Hall.
Awesome. Dan, again, thank you for coming on. Anytime, you're welcome. Dan Wood, ladies and gentlemen, running for Bluffton Town Council.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
See you.
Bye-bye. All right.
All the wickedness and filth this world has to offer.
Rock music that shatters your bones. Big Patriot Radio.
That's some serious rock.
And you're responsible.
All right. It is about 1:15, and our next guest is already in the green room. We're going to bring him out. Let's go over here and add this. There he is. Welcome, Bob Berger, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in and taking time out of your busy schedule. Running for Bluffton Town Council. It's great to have you on here, and congratulations for your candidacy for Town Council here in Bluffton. I know you're busy, so I want to jump right in there. Tell everybody, aside from your signs, and what sticks out in my head is family values. When I see your signs, a lot of people get vanilla because the signs all go together after a while, unless you got a really good marketer out there. But family values, that stuck out with me. So 10 extra bonus points. Tell everybody about Bob Berger, your personal life, a little bit of business or whatever, and thank you for coming on the show.
Okay. So my wife and I were both born in Chicago. I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago and moved down to Hilton Head for a little while back in 1995, worked at the Hyatt Regency, and then finally got my wife to come down. We came down for her 50th birthday back in 2021 with our 3 kids, and everyone had a great time. And then we came down a couple more times in the coming months, and really out of the blue made the decision to move here. And we kind of just packed up, sold the house, and moved to Bluffton, got the kids into a really great school. And so I was a real estate agent in Chicago for about 20 years. And then when I turned 50 and we were moving here around the same time, I decided that I wasn't going to start from scratch and try to scrape and claw to get clients. I was going to do a complete 180 and do something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So I went to school to become an electrician. Wanted to, learn a trade, work with my hands, and that's what I'm doing now. So that's been really, really rewarding so far, and it's very exciting for me. My wife is a pediatric dentist in Chicago. She has a practice. She commutes still back and forth because the move was kind of sudden, and she wasn't ready to sell yet. So she's commuting, and that's been a little bit difficult, but we're making it work, and hopefully that won't be for too much longer.
Yeah. From what I can see, Bob, this, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be your first publicly elected office, assuming you win. Why on earth do you want to be on the Bluffton Town Council?
So the one thing that we really like about Bluffton is that, it's a pretty, overall, at least the people that we've met, it's a pretty conservative town, and we're in, our kids go to a Christian school, and, we were, clearly fleeing Chicago for safety reasons, and also because of because of ideology that was being taught in school. Even the Christian or Catholic schools there don't teach the kind of values that we want our kids learning.
Sure.
So, we love the school that we're in now, and they are learning the right things, and we really love it. And then you have the town council that is starting to get into policies and ordinances and things that I think don't really represent the community as a whole. And that's kind of why I'm running to kind of offset, kind of balance out the council.
Sure.
You will. I mean, there's, only so much one person can do, but I also kind of want to, I'm definitely not a natural at this, and I want to inspire other people to also get involved with local government, because I think people generally don't pay attention. They don't vote. And then they wonder why the town is hiring DEI coordinators, and which will eventually possibly be a whole department guiding the policy of the town council. And people will be like, well, what happened? Well, you didn't pay attention. You didn't vote. So that's really why I'm getting involved.
Super. What, in your opinion, is right about Bluffton?
I think that it's focus. Well, I think that the community revolves around church and Christianity, and that's really something that was important and became way more important when we got down here and found a church that we liked and got more involved, and now we're part of that community. But I think that's the case with a lot of people, is they have a community of fellow church members that they kind of hang with and meet with, and you can depend on them. And I don't have a lot of friends down here. I mean, we have some friends and some people who are good friends of mine who are still here from when I lived here before, but there's very limited time when you have 3 kids who are between 9 and 13, and they have all their activities. Yep. My wife's not here a lot of the time, so it's been a little bit difficult getting to know people, but we do know a lot, good number of people, great people through the school and our church.
Super. In the same breath, what's wrong about Bluffton?
Well, besides the things that I said, I mean, it's just kind of the creeping leftism. It's not blatant at this point, but I think that the, overall, I honestly don't think that there's anything wrong with Bluffton, but that's probably because of where I came from. I mean, I'm from Chicago, downtown Chicago, where you have tons of traffic. So here there's like no traffic compared to that. Here, I know a lot of people complain that, I mean, I do think that the crime is more than what I thought it would be. Thank God most of it is petty theft, but that is kind of where it starts. And if you don't squash that, then it just turns into worse circumstances. So I would say that, overall, in one of my platform items is to focus more resources on the police force, possibly get patrols going in neighborhoods, random patrols, so that people sneaking through the bushes might think twice. But I'm a big supporter of the blue. So I want to do whatever I can to make sure that they have more resources.
Gotcha. When you look at inspiration, who or what inspires you, what or who, and why?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say my children inspire me for sure. They're really, really good kids, and they are doing really well, and they've dealt with a lot of adversity. We've moved a lot since they were born. We've pretty much moved every 2 years, and then we had purchased a home in Chicago back in 2019 that was going to be our home at least until the kids were done with school, and then 3 years later we're out. But we just recently bought a house here, and we're definitely, this, I would say, is our forever home, and that is why I'm doing this, because if this is going to be our forever home, I want to do what I can to make the community better. So I think that just back to your question, what's wrong? Is that where we were?
What inspires you?
What inspires?
What or who? Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
why?
I would say that
Yeah.
really just thinking off the top of my head, my kids inspire me because I want them to be able to flourish in this community, and they are doing really, really well. And I just want to make sure that they are happy, healthy, safe. They're able to be who they are as they grow up.
Let me ask you, and you, I think I heard you right a few minutes ago, and if I heard what I think I heard, this is news to me. Did you say that the town of Bluffton has a DEI director or something like that?
It's at this point, it's a technology, what do I want to say? Like a technology director / DEI coordinator.
Really? I was not aware of that. You know, it's obviously this in municipalities in South Carolina, it's a nonpartisan race. Right. And that's only, you know, I take that with a grain of salt because, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Everything is partisan. You can call it whatever you want, but everything is partisan. And that right there, this network has a problem with. Yeah. That right there. That anyway, I don't want to go off on that. Well, I don't know if you heard me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's a way to kind of fool people by making it nonpartisan. So if you look at the voting trends, Bluffton and really Beaufort County, without like breaking it down, but it's generally 60-40 Republican to Democrat. And and I think Bluffton, I'm pretty sure that was the Beaufort County stats, but if you break it down to Bluffton, it's probably even a little bit more than 60-40, maybe. I'm just guessing, but you know, maybe 70-30. And if you had people who had to declare which party that they're in, which I'm kind of glad they don't, because I don't really like the Republican Party. I mean, I am conservative, but I have a lot of gripes with the Republican Party.
Sure.
But I think that if you had to break it down like that, and you have that kind of a split, then there's probably less of a chance that a liberal Democrat would win. And the other thing is that you have what is kind of ranked choice voting light, where people get to vote for two candidates, which I think that doesn't make any sense to me. But I think that in some way, shape, or form probably protects incumbents. That's just my guess. But.
Well, that's going to lead me into my next question, is that there are 2 seats open and 4 people running, and everything in the town of Bluffton is at large. Since Bluffton doesn't have what some people call wards or districts like the county does, do you feel that it's possible? And I don't know if you heard when I was talking with Dan, and I've asked everybody this so far that has come on the show. You've got really 3 pieces of a pie that makes up Bluffton. You've got Old Town and the historic district and some the Buck Island, Simmonsville, which are 2 different parts, but that's that piece of pie. You've got the Buckwalter tract, which has a couple of worker, hairy homeowner, 2 kids kind of houses, and you've got a couple of very high-end plantation style. And then there's the third piece of pie, which is New Riverside and Pritchardville, which has, again, a ton of worker bee America with kids and 2 cars and bills at the wazoo, along with the world's sometimes #1 resort in Palmetto Bluff. So we've got a strange 3-piece of pie with no wards, no districts. It's possible that one of those could have all of the council seats and the mayor. I mean, that's possible. because we don't have individual representation. Do you feel in the age of everybody has to have, be fair and equitable and everything, is the town of Bluffton's residents getting fair and equitable representation when there are no wards or districts?
I would say they're getting fair representation because people generally don't get involved. So just say you went right now and you snapped your fingers and went to a ward system. Who's to say that the people who are representing those wards, say on the town council, wouldn't all be, I'm just going to be blunt because I know who the audience is. Democrats generally, or liberals, they get more involved with politics. So unless the town in general got more involved with politics and paid more attention, then I don't know that would necessarily end up being a good thing. But I do think that the precipice for, or what I want to say, the basis for what you're asking, I think is very valid. And that's kind of why I'm running, because most of the other candidates either live in Old Town, or they have businesses in Old Town, or they have something going on in Old Town. So I want to give a voice for all the rest of the communities. I'm kind of central Bluffton, and nobody's really out where I am.
Gotcha. How can people stay in touch with you about the campaign, or volunteer, or donate? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm just gonna give out my email because I have to be honest, I'm kind of getting at this a little bit behind schedule.
Sure.
My wife and I ran the Chicago Marathon a couple weeks ago, and I was,
oh wow,
and all of a sudden here we are. And I do have somebody who's going to be working on my campaign, helping me out, and we're hopefully going to be getting some. I'm going to be out door knocking and making calls, and we're also going to have some people helping us hopefully here soon, and a website going up as of tomorrow.
Give me that email, and I'll put that on the screen for you.
Okay, it's bobburgerhomes@gmail.com. So BOBBURGERHOMES@gmail. And then I can send people information where they could donate if they did want to, which would be Venmo or Zelle. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but if people want to email me, then I'm more than, I'll give out my my cell phone number as well, and people can text me if they'd like. It's 312.
Hold on one second here.
Okay.
312
215 7096. And people can text me, especially if they want to get involved. If somebody's watching your show who doesn't like what I'm saying, then don't text me.
There you go. All right, Bob, quick, painless, to the point. I appreciate you coming on here, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Burger, Town Council candidate here in Bluffton. Thank you, Bob. You're always welcome here on the show.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move some things around.
Wickedness and filth this world has to offer.
Rock music that shatters your bones. Big Patriot Radio.
That's some serious rock.
And you're responsible.
That's right. All right, I want to put this disclaimer out here. Two candidates on tonight, both for Town Council in Bluffton. I'm going to get serious. We have had 5 of the 6 candidates running for office for the Town of Bluffton Council, along with both mayoral candidates. Candidate for council, Bridget Frazier, nor her campaign has responded to any phone calls, texts, social media requests, etc., for her to come on this program. One of the things I do, well, we'll let that go. Anyway, a few weeks ago, we broke a story here on this show on the redevelopment of Old Pepper's Porch, the Old Pepper's Porch building and the Deer Tongue building there on 46 downtown Old Town Bluffton. That property is being redeveloped by Bridget Frazier and a town councilwoman and her investment partner or partners, whatever, into a restaurant and a Gullah museum. Again, she is a financial investor. The interesting thing about this entire deal is that we discovered, and I have to take exception with what Mr. Dan Wood said, not that he said anything wrong, but his information is not completely what we've got on paper. Ms. Frazier applied for a $70,000 grant from the ATAX Commission and was denied. She was denied that money. She went to town council, which she's a member of, and she was awarded $70,000. And that was, according to her paperwork, for bathrooms for the museum. Now, full stop right there. Full stop. If you can't get a building permit, you can't get plans through the building department with no bathrooms drawn on the plan for the building. She couldn't have gotten any, you couldn't got a building permit, you couldn't got financing, couldn't get insurance without those bathrooms being on the plans. So that's a shuck and jive. I'm just going to call it what it is. That's a shuck and jive, in my opinion. Anyway, she's turned down by the commission, went to town council, it was approved. Now, she did recuse herself, but she never left the room. Another full stop. Robert's Rules of Order, Jefferson's Rules of Order. When you, for a recusal, one must not vote and leave the room. She did neither. She did neither and has never left the room. She applied somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000 in public tax dollars to rebuild the Deer Tongue building. That was on the application, to rebuild the Deer Tongue building. A couple of interesting things with that. And stay with me here. One, she was asked by the town commission chairman, HPC commission, during her application for this money, quote, "Have you ever received public tax dollars for this project?" To which she answered publicly, no. He asked her again, "Have you received public tax dollars for this project?" I'm sorry, have you ever received public tax dollars, quote, for this project? No. I would like to ask Ms. Frazier and explain why she said no at least twice to receiving public tax dollars when town council gave her $70,000 of public tax money. That's not the town's money. That's not some special kitty money. That is public tax money. All right. All the other excuses, that's complete and utter bullshit. It's public tax dollars. It came from you. A portion of it came from you. Public money going for a private interest. Now, we've reached out. We've reached out to her campaign. We've reached out to her. No one answers the phone, returns any messages. Number two, I gave you number one. Number two, she applied for public tax monies to rebuild this Deer Tongue building. Construction documents, building permit documents, every document we got our fingers on made public all show that the owner, Ms. Frazier, was instructed to get a letter from a structural engineer certifying whether or not the structure was safe to be moved. The Deer Tongue building, it's not a contributing structure to the town, but there is some well-defined historic background of the building. And even some folks are, or at least have been, arguing that it should be considered a contributing structure. You can forget about all that. That's water over the bridge. The structural engineer was to say whether or not the building was proper and structurally sound enough to be moved 3 to 6 feet, somewhere in there is what it had to be moved for her new plan. Okay. We have a copy. Showed it last week. Do I have it still? I didn't bring it up. If you want it, I'll be glad to put it. If you want it, just tell me. We have the report from the engineers that says not only is it sound to be moved, it should only take minor repairs once moved. That is verbatim from the structural engineer. Instead of moving the building, as she was instructed by all parties giving input, Ms. Frazier decided to tear it down. I guess she's smarter than the engineer. Okay, taking it upon herself, let's tear the building down. She hires a company out of Savannah, and it's called Purpose Savannah, to do this deconstruction. Now, this company, and if you go to their website, it's as much about LGBTQ and transgenderism and all this other bullshit as it is about business, that should never be a part of why you're in business. But be that as it may, it is. She hired them. Their purpose in life is to deconstruct historic buildings, or deconstruct buildings and structures that have physical wealth. Now, this company makes, well, let me go back. Ms. Frazier has made public statements all over the internet, all in newspapers, everywhere, that she says they labeled each and every piece of wood. I don't doubt her one bit. They labeled each and every piece of wood. Everything has been labeled properly. Floors, beams, doors, windows, mantles, whatever. Now, this company goes out, their business plan is they do the deconstruction at little to no cost. They make their money by selling what they've removed. You heard me right. They make their money by selling products they remove. Well, Mike, and I said this last week, no, they're not doing that here because they labeled everything. She said they did. So we took a drive down there to see all the wood and the windows and the doors and the label. There's nothing there. There's a fence, there was a backhoe, and a bunch of dirt. That's it. There's no wood, there's no windows, there's no doors. So we went on their website, and they got a pretty healthy website of all this stuff that they have for sale. And it's good stuff. This is old wood, really cool doors, mantles, windows. That's where they make their money. I don't know that's what's going to happen here. I'm not insinuating that. I'm just saying, when you start looking at all the ingredients to this cake, we're about ready to start mixing it up, because she had it torn down when the engineer said you don't need to do that. Don't do it. It can be moved. Minor repairs. You hire a company that makes money off selling reclaimed materials, but there's nothing on the site. And you asked for money to have it rebuilt, but you could have moved it with little to no or little minor repairs, as it said. So that leads us to the next question. If there was a building permit issued, why is Ms. Frazier now asking for more public funds? She requested $350,000, and the reason was to rebuild the Deer Tongue building. They should have wrote back to her, the structural engineer said it could be moved, and save you and me and them and them and them. Save them some money. Again, Ms. Frazier told the HPC Commission Chair, Bruce Trimble, no public monies have been used. My question to Ms. Frazier, if she would call me, if she would come on the air, were you being honest with the HPC Commission Chairman? Look me in the eyes, look you, the viewer, in the eyes. Were you being honest when you said you have not taken any public tax monies for this personal / private business interest? Recently in the Bluffton Today, Mayor Solka penned an article talking about ATAX monies, as a matter of fact, and how they're being spent. In the article, she lays out where the recent round of ATAX monies, where it went, who applied for it, and who got it. According to Mayor Sulka's article that she says she wrote, Ms. Frazier received $175,000, and I want you to quote me on this because I'm quoting her. $175,000 for Bridget Frazier for the Bluffton Gullah Cultural Heritage Center, parentheses, renovation of Deer Tongue Building, close parentheses. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Do you understand why this looks the way it looks? Now you've received, what is that, $250,000, $250,000 of my tax money, of your tax money, and everyone's tax money to rebuild a building that you were told by the structural engineer it did not need to be moved. It was structurally sound. It could be done with minor repairs. Then you went after all that public tax money to rebuild your interest in a restaurant and museum. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a horrific excuse of spending public tax money. If you will spend public tax money like that, what, and we find out about it, what else will you spend public tax money on? This story has really been hidden. I don't know of any other outlet other than this one that has been getting this out there, because you need to know about it. When you go to bed at night, you're thinking, hey, where did my tax money go today? And you drive by there, you can say, well, a piece of it went there. You own part of it. Then we find out that Ms. Frazier applied for more ATAX monies and was awarded $21,836 for something called Blackwoody SC Roots and River Festival. Public tax dollars for Blackwoody SC Roots and River Festival. Now, I'm not knocking there's a website for all that. It's BEU and Blackwoody, whatever. I'm not knocking it at all. I totally get it. But the group is violating civil rights by only promoting Black-owned businesses, and now the town is giving them public money for that. So where's the Latino Equity Festival money? Where's the White Equity Roots and River Festival money? Where's the Asian Equity Roots and River Festival money? Because the town has set a precedence for this. And let me tell you, if someone applies any other protected group and they don't get it, oh my God, the lawsuit dollar will be unreal. Think about that. The town of Bluffton supports Blackwoody. Great. Should public money go to that? Not unless you're willing to support white equity, Latino equity, Asian equity, Martian equity, any other handicap equity, every fat bald guys with a Santa beard equity. It's fair and equitable. You got to do it, the town of Bluffton. I smell a rat. I smell a big, hairy, bodacious rat, and the cheese beside it, it stinks as well.
Your Rock Authority. Big Patriot Radio.
I wouldn't tell anybody about this.
All right. Well, again, we've reached out to Ms. Frazier about coming on here for her campaign. I know she's busy. No word, no response. I will say anyone, and I mean anyone. From this, well, let me rephrase this. She said, I get anytime a protected group gets shit on, and that's what's happened. One is being treated by means that are unacceptable, but now every other protected group is being shit on. I'm telling you, the lawsuits would be staggering. Anyway, I'm not shocked that I haven't heard anything, because if you cross her, you get blocked. It's been that way for years. Totally illegal. If you have a Facebook page or a Twitter account or a YouTube channel as a political channel, you cannot block people. That is against the law. But she doesn't care, I guess. I hope she's watching. I hope there are people that are watching. Within the last 10 minutes, the numbers just went through the roof, so somebody's watching. Ms. Frazier, you are a public servant. Mr. Wood said it himself. He is a servant attitude. You need to portray that you are a servant of the people. You are not the queen of the people. We don't bow to your feet. You are a servant of the people of Bluffton. You need to act that way. Speaking of candidates, something that really pisses me off and smells really bad happened recently to one of the council candidates. I don't remember if I brought this up last week. Probably not, because I was out. Candidate Tim Wood was on the ATAX commission. I say was because within the last 2 weeks or so, he was kicked off the commission. In a letter from town council giving him his parting ways, Tim Wood was told basically, you spoke out against town council and we can't have it. That's not verbatim, but that's what it meant. You crossed the line. You questioned town council. Thank you for your service, but we're removing you. What in the ever-loving hell is going on with the people on Bluffton Town Council? Well, one of the members of the commission said he threatened him. Well, I happened to watch that, and I saw the other one threaten him. Well, that's not what they said, but we're kicking him off. And you shouldn't have crossed town council by reading the words. We need people to question town council. We need people to question county council. I'm telling you, as one that sat on those councils, the last thing you need to do is let government go unfettered. You don't want that. You don't want that, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, for those of you on commissions in the town of Bluffton, they put it out there. Not only will we give money to one protected group and none of the others, but if you question us, we'll just kick you off. What kind of bullshit is this going on? This is what happens when our government is not run of, by, or for the people, but rather for personal gain. Bluffton has this long-standing thing that it's a group of 5 and we all vote. We all vote together, which that in and of itself is total horseshit. I don't want somebody just to be a yes man or a yes woman because the mayor or 2/3 of the council said it. Well, that's not why I elect my representative. I want my representative to look out for me and my family and my area and my interests. And I have to say, I went to my county council representative and I went apeshit over some traffic problems, and she took care of it like that. She responded to me rather like that with an answer. That's what's expected. She didn't go crawl up Joe Passament's ass and do whatever he says. No, she stood on her own 2 feet. And Tab, bravo to you. If you're on town council, grow a set of balls and stand on your own 2 feet. And because Mayor Salka or Mayor whoever says we're going to do this, bullshit, I want you to stand up against them. when stuff like this comes and they want to kick somebody off a commission because they stood up for themselves and their people, I want my town council person to say, no, wait a minute, that's bullshit. We're not doing that. We don't run this town. Give me a break. Personal gain in politics, that is pile of horseshit.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, now we're fired up. I am fired up now. Recently, the Beaufort, we're going to go to the other side of the river right now. The Beaufort Academy girls volleyball team recently won the SCISA state championship in girls volleyball. Yes, congratulations, ladies of Beaufort Academy, and thank you, Beaufort Academy, for having only girls play on a girls team and only boys playing on a boys team. But that's a whole other story. This whole feat is outstanding. It's well deserved, from what I understand. I don't have any family members that go to BA. Know a lot of folks that are alum of BA, and I hear that this is well deserved. However, in the wake of their victory, we were sent some pictures of a very disturbing banner that was displayed after the win. We're going to show you this banner here in a second, but let me tell you, this is not a homemade banner. It's professional, like my buddy back here. That was made professionally. That wasn't done with a crayon or with pulling out a drawer full of Sharpies. No, this banner is no different than I'm going to show you. It's professionally designed, professionally made. It also is not Photoshop. I used every tool in my toolbox that I have available to check for being Photoshopped or altered. It's not. This is a genuine photo. Then after we posted a story online about it, we had people coming forward that were there that said, please don't use my name, but this is a real thing. We saw it. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we saw. Let's go here, and I'm hoping this will come up. There is one of them. And let me know. Let me put in the comments here, and let's go back. Let me make sure that everybody can see that. This was at the Wilson Hall School in Sumter. And there we see, let me know, somebody, if you can see this picture, so I'll keep talking about it. Here you have a older fella standing over here in a red shirt and black pants with a cane, and he's looking at it. And there are two ladies right here. Their faces have been blurred out. Can anybody see this picture? Put it in your chat bar if you can see it, so I know I'm not talking to myself. Anyway, you see they've got the medals around their necks, the blue sign, the sign, fuck around and find out. BA varsity volleyball. That was the sign, but wait, there's more. This is the sign, I'm assuming earlier in the day. I don't know. I don't know who this adult is. I've been asking, checking. We haven't been able to find out who this guy is. He seems very proud of this banner. Let's take that away. The goal, this is extremely poor taste, I guess is what I can say. Extremely poor taste. This teaches absolutely nothing about sportsmanship. I mean, the goal is not winning or losing, it's how you play the game. Isn't that right? Oh, bullshit, you got here to win. Okay, Mr. Hardball. But the overall goal of high school, middle school, high school recreation sports is to teach sportsmanship, is to teach people, young kids, how to work together as a team. Because, hey, folks, can you hear me? Bobby's probably not going to go to the NFL. Cindy is probably not going to be a world-class swimmer. Like 1% of kids become a professional sport person. Now, I'm sure your kid is the one who will make it. Bravo. That's awesome. But the other 99% of kids aren't going to become a professional baseball player. Okay? The odds are pretty slim. So hearing that, why don't we teach them something that will carry on in life, like how to be a good sport, that you can win and you can lose, and it's all okay. Yes, you should try to win. Don't try to lose, or don't give a shit. You should try to win. But if you do lose, you got to carry yourself even higher than if you win. Because if you do that, if you win, then you're gloating, and nobody likes that shit either. What is this teaching these young ladies or any other young people? Dan Nelson is his name. Well, Dan Nelson, we're going to make you famous, my friend. What is this teaching these young ladies? That you could be a bully? Fuck around and find out. So is that what they're portraying? That BA volleyball, girls volleyball is a bunch of bullies? I don't think so. Are they teaching them that it's acceptable to parade around in public like this? And don't get me wrong. Beaufort Academy has long standing in the community. In Beaufort County, not just Ladies Island or the city of Beaufort, but in Beaufort County, in this area. It's been around for quite a while. It's a great school, great characters. There are some flaws, as there is everywhere. This, however, is a big black cloud. And I've spoken to several alums, and the overwhelming 100% agreement is, I'm shocked, I'm outraged, and I don't know what to do about it. That's been the sentiment from those alum that I've spoken with. Now, we know that SCISA knows about this. That's the, South Carolina High School League, but for private schools, SCISA. We know they know about it, and I'm sure they are investigating. And I hope that the work of some asinine adult does not come back and cost the school in any way. And I certainly hope it does not cost these young ladies who have won a state title. I hope it doesn't cost them in any way, because this is the work of an adult. And the kids should not pay the price, whether it's giving back, forfeiting their state championship or those kind of things. I don't even want to think about that, because that's not fair. The parent or the adult or whoever it is, whether it's Dan or anybody else, whoever made that, they should be held responsible. The kids should know, you do this, you're going to be held responsible. Whoever the adult is that made this, or the adults, and I hope they're listening. I hope they've been seeing posts on social media. I hope you're seeing that. And I hope you are ashamed of yourself. And I hope you are man enough or woman enough or whatever to have the balls to step forward and admit a mistake and take responsibility for it. Because if you let these girls take the fall for your screw up, shame on you.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Avi makes a comment. Could cost scholarships. Very poor choice. And God, I hope not. I really hope not. When an adult does something that's that damn stupid, and that could cost a kid something, that's pretty damn low. That's as low as these fools who think books being lewd and vulgar are perfectly okay for a fifth grader. I don't know. That's two different, completely different things, but it's just as stupid. Anyway, recently at Charleston, going to go up the coast a little bit, at Charleston County School Board meeting, Charleston resident, friend of the show, Tara Wood, got up to give her public comment. Her comment was about the continued battle, speaking of, lewd and vulgar materials in Charleston County public schools. Now, this is the same battle we are waging here in Beaufort County. Now, Ms. Wood, who, matter of fact, we tentatively will have her on the show next Thursday, she was verbally accosted by some of the people in attendance. I mean, the behavior is disgusting. We'll share it with you here in a minute. The behavior is disgusting, just like some of the behavior of the folks at our own county school board meetings, namely the iniquitous beast of Ladies Island and her miscreant imps. They're all followers of vileness. Now, I have to say, these folks in Charleston County just stepped it up a notch. But I think Charleston actually has topped our local buffoons. Let's take a look at her video of her speech. And this comes to us. I want to give props to the Overton Report, where you can hear them each week right here on Big Picture Radio Network. So let's roll that clip. And this is Tara Wood.
And I don't understand why there's such controversy over trying to protect children from sexually explicit materials and graphic material.
Give her her chance.
Okay, and listen to this, y'all. Nobody wants to ban books. If parents want their children to read certain books, they can get them on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, their public library. So our schools are supposed to be a safe place. So this is a book that is found in 13 of our schools in Charleston County. All Boys Aren't Blue. He asked me to turn over while he slipped the condom on himself. But this was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. And he was large, and I had previously taught someone who clearly enjoyed it, but he had been enjoying anal sex. He had been enjoying, hey.
Please order. She has what, 5 or 10 minutes, 10 seconds left. She has time left.
Go ahead.
Can I tell you something? Can you imagine if we
don't silence her.
Kick us out.
Order.
Ms. Wood, have you made your point?
No, she still has time.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. Go ahead.
No justice, no peace.
Really?
No justice,
really?
No peace. No justice,
really?
No peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
This is how y'all going to let everybody behave? Really? Hey, freedom of speech.
Okay, a couple.
All right, there you go. So let's put that over here. Wow. Now, the book she was reading an excerpt from is called All Boys Aren't Blue by George Johnson. And this book, ladies and gentlemen, is in the Beaufort County public school system. As a matter of fact, the review committee just, a week or two or something ago, which only 3 of the 7 people, if I got those numbers right, I believe it's 3 of 7, only showed up to vote, not even a quorum, but they held the vote anyway, and they gave it glaring reviews and added it back to the shelves of schools. The book contains, get this book, where did I go? This book contains the following stuff: sadomasochism, abuse, rape, anal sex, masturbation, excretion in multiple forms, and more. It has been, and by the way, what she was reading, that was boy on boy. Okay, that was boy on boy. And I agree, Avi, I am as well. So it's been noted that this book, quote unquote, taken as a whole, does not have serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value, end quote. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is interesting as it leads with taken as a whole. That is a quote from the Utah Supreme Court. So as I was looking through this and started digging into the Utah Supreme Court, you know, there's some credence right here. That same quote taken as a whole is the same cry that people who think this stuff is credible for children to read claim we as opponents, and Ivy, who's just on the screen with her comment, and I are the other two complainants from Beaufort County, and then they lump everybody else in with us, and we appreciate you. They claim we don't do take it as a whole. You heard the fools in the back of the room, read the whole book, or you taking that out of context. No. We do read the book, but taken as a whole. For that matter, taken as a whole. For that matter, in researching Utah state law, ladies and gentlemen, I came across the definitions and precedents concerning this, and this has now been passed on to the South Carolina House of Representatives and to the Senate. I spent a lot of time on this for inclusion. I'm asking them to include this into our own code of laws. And here's what it reads. Here is the Utah Code of Laws definitions prior to the actual code. You have to define what everything means before you initiate the code. According to the Utah Code of Laws, pornographic material is defined as where the average person applying contemporary community standards finds that taken as a whole, it appeals to prurient interest in sex. B, it is patently, offensive in the description or depiction of nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, sadomasochism, abuse, and or excretion. And C, taken as a whole, it does not have serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Boom! This book should be removed. If you follow these guidelines, if you follow this mentality, this kind of book should not be on the shelves anywhere in a public school, a secondary school of public money. In Beaufort County, 8 of our 11 school board members have no spine. They have no spine. They're spineless. They have no guts. They have no will to do the right thing. Rather, they continue to do what those loud, obnoxious fools in the back, the vile crowd in the back, you just saw it. They continue to do what they tell them to do. And what really strikes me odd, Earl Campbell, William Smith, Carlton Dallas, Angela Middleton, and Chloe Gordon. They're all members of the Black community, and they're fine people. They should be up in arms over this. The book, this particular one, All Boys Aren't Blue, has to do with the Black community and the LGBTQ community and the entire Black queer movement. If I was them, I would be up in arms that that children, let alone mine, but children would be subjected to that. Because, hello, Earl, William, Carlton, Angela, Chloe, that type of book, that type of reading is destroying your community. But they don't see it. They don't see it because the vile crowd in the back, the obnoxious buffoons in the back, have created scare in their souls, and they don't know what to do.
Locked and loaded. Let's go. Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
All right, we're coming around the fourth turn. School Superintendent Frank Rodriguez has an ethics complaint filed against him from a Hilton Head Island citizen, Mr. Rich Beasy. The complaint is about two separate contracts the superintendent entered into with a former interim superintendent, Herbert Berg. Rodriguez says he hired him to advise on strategies to, quote, generate majority support from the board and community, end quote, in reference to the $439 million referendum you'll be seeing when you go to the voting booth, to the polls. They want $439 million. Okay, the problem is it is against state law for an elected official or a state-appointed official to volley for support of or push back against any referendums. That is against the law. The contracts were for $55,000 and then one for $30,000 with an hourly rate of $138 an hour. Some of the scope of the contracts were to advise of strategies to build a successful school bond referendum program that would generate majority support from the Board of Education, and advise on packaging the recommendations from third-party assessments, district staff, and the bond steering committee to present to the Board of Education and community, and advise on the community outreach strategies of proposed projects to aid in bond passage, including the development of educational materials, etc., and more. It sounds like it's for it to me. This outlet is continuing to study this referendum. And unless something changes, I can tell you right now, due to the lack of trust, this has nothing to do with the superintendent, but due to the lack of trust countywide with the school district and school board, I am a hard no on this referendum. As of right now, I'm a hard no. Now, back to, a matter of fact, we polled across the county, 65% of voters that we've polled are feeling the same way. They say no to the referendum. As far as Dr. Rodriguez, the ethics committee will, they'll have to be the one to make that claim. But Frank, from somebody who wasn't asked, it sure looks like they may have you with this one. So you got to be careful. Public officials, appointed officials, you got to be careful when you're dealing with public tax money. So what I was talking about earlier with town council lady Frazier, it's public money. It's our money. It's not your money. You don't get to decide what you can do with it. It's our money. We need representatives who start acting like that and behaving that way, that, hey, it's not my money, it's their money. I am here because of them.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
And finally,
with Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
You're going to get a hoot out of this. This week, this is finally, I shared some data this week online about a move from the Biden administration. We don't ever talk about corn pop or flashbang. The Biden administration is trying to do, they're trying to outlaw and ban permanently menthol cigarettes. That's right. Now, their reasons, they're all noble, I suppose, on the surface. As, you know, they're listing not only health concerns and safety, but also trying to lower the amount of kids that smoke. I get it. Okay, that's noble. However, the interesting thing about this is this. And when I read about this, I started doing a little research because I had an opinion and I wanted to make sure I was either at least half right and then correct myself so I was all right before I said this to you. Come to find out, I was not only right, but I enhanced some things. The interesting thing about this is this. Did you know that of Black Americans, 89% of Black smokers smoke menthol? I don't know how many people that claim to be Black or whatever, but however many it is, 89% of Black smokers smoke menthol. Of those that class themselves as LGBTQ, 49.7, and this is CDC numbers, okay? This isn't Mike Colbert numbers. This is CDC numbers. 49.7% of them smoke menthol. So where are you going with this? Well, I'm really glad you asked. The push by the Biden administration should have every person of color, every Black American smoker, every LGBTQ, no matter what race or furry you think you are, you should be pissed and upset. Clearly, the Biden government does not believe that either group of people can decide on their own if they should or should not smoke, and specifically smoke menthol. Clearly, the Biden administration has said neither group is smart enough to not make the correct choice. That's what this says. They're saying you're not smart enough. You can't decide on your own because you're not smart enough. So we're going to do it for you. So I'm asking members of both of those communities, people of color, Black communities, Black and brown, LGBTQ communities, how does this make you feel? If your answer is, well, the government is looking out for us, then you are exactly what the government wants. Someone they can, a marionette, someone they can tell to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, someone that they can keep down. And I thought that's what both of these communities were fighting against, being oppressed. If you're voting Democrat and you voted for Biden, this is what you voted for, is the oppression of the federal government, telling you what you can and cannot smoke. They want non-free thinkers. If you think, well, this is the government looking out for us, they're looking out for me. You're not a free thinker. You can't think for yourself. That's exactly what they said they want. The Biden, administration wants complete control. They prefer total control. How can you be so blind to not see this? Now, if you feel the government will do what is best for us all, the government will do what is best for us all, I believe they will lead me in the right direction, then you have completely succumbed to not being able to govern your own life. And I mean that, period. What did he just say? Let me say that again. If you feel that the government will do what is best for me, they will do what is best for us all, then you have completely succumbed to not being able to govern your own life, period. That's becoming the government's bitch. Next week, we've got Joe DeVito and Kevin Phillips, both running for the mayor of Town of Port Royal. Joe DeVito is the current mayor. Kevin Phillips is a councilman. Both of them running for mayor. We're going to have them on the show. We're going to keep trying to get Miss Frazier from Bluffton Town Council on here. We know that, again, all or most or some watched. I'm sure there'll be somebody make a phone call. Hey, go check this out. But it's all kidding aside. The questions you heard tonight are the same questions I've asked everybody. Now, one little asterisk. I did not ask Bob about taking public monies because he's never been a public office. It's a futile question because it doesn't apply. I think you heard him. I think we know where his head is, though. Anyway, we treat every candidate that's been on here equally. I've talked to them all. They all get to fair questions. Nobody is throwing a hard ball. Nobody's soft and furry, and everybody else is not. I treat them all equal. With all that in mind, I'm going to try to have a candidate debate for the Bluffton Town Council next Thursday at some time. Not sure if that's going to happen, but just stay tuned to normal outlets and you'll find out. And if any other races are invited, again, you just let me know. But we will have the town mayor race of Port Royal on here. Let's see. Tuesday, the 7th of November, election night. There will be the second annual Big Patriot Radio Network election night coverage. That's right here on the Big Patriot Radio Network. I'll be here, and co-hosting will be the Overton Report's Corey Allen. That was huge last year, and we were brand new babies, and it was huge. It's one of our best shows ever. This year, even though it's off year with municipal voting and referenda, it'll still be huge. If you have a business and you want to put an ad, you see up here on the screen. Let's see, I guess it's that way. You see the little me right there? We'll do that. Same as last year, it's $50. We'll put you all over the screen, give your tagline. It's Cindy's Bar and Grill. You stab them, we slab them, or whatever. That's a morgue. Anyway, you get the picture. $50 to advertise. You'll be up here all night long from 7 o'clock, probably to 11:30, maybe even midnight. See how long it goes. Stay tuned. Until next week, I am Mike Covert. Folks, please stay safe out there, and we'll go check and see if they found this guy up in Maine. Really sorry to hear that. That's a tragedy that happened. Obviously, some mental problems. I guess we'll learn as we go. In safe prayers for those families. Anyway, until next week, I'm Mike Covert. Please stay safe out there, and we will see you next Thursday.